Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at tonight's NBA slate. We have 6 games on tap for this evening for Tuesday, February 13th. So with that, let's get into the slate preview. First up, Giannis is the highest priced player on the slate by over $1,400. Then you got Shea, Anthony Davis, and Sabonis all above 10K. Davis is questionable, but he should probably play tonight. Same with LeBron is questionable as well. Both of them have popped up on the injury report the whole season, but most of the games they have been playing. Anthony Simons is probable, even though he has a Q tag. Porzingis is questionable tonight against the Nets. Brogdon has been ruled out for Portland. Jimmy Butler has been ruled out for Miami. Chris Middleton is still out for Milwaukee. Terry Rozier is out for Miami. Scoot Henderson is questionable for tonight's game against Minnesota. If he is out, Anthony Simons should get an increased usage bump. For Detroit, Isaiah Stewart is out. For OKC, Gordon Hayward's out. Cam Johnson's out for Brooklyn. Spencer Dinwiddie is still out for the Lakers since he just signed there. Xavier Tillman for Boston is still out, so the front court depth could be shorthanded tonight if Porzingis is ruled out as well. Duncan Robinson from Miami is questionable for tonight's game. Josh Richardson has been ruled out for Miami, so the guard depth will be a bit shorthanded tonight for Miami. Duop Reith is probable. Quentin Grimes is out for Detroit, and Jaden Springer is out for Boston. Max Christie is still out for the Lakers. So that's pretty much all the injuries we have. We're going to move to our first game of the evening, which is Boston at Brooklyn. This matchup should be interesting because Brooklyn traded away Royce O'Neal, and Cam Johnson is out tonight, so the forward depth could be a bit weak for them. If we just look at Brooklyn alone, they have Dorian Finney-Smith, who is coming off of an injury. Played 20 minutes in his last game, but prior to that had some larger minute outings. He isn't a high usage player. At 4-6, I would probably stay away from him. But Jalen Wilson has been playing monster minutes the past 2 games. He is now priced at $3,700. I think he is still too cheap in this matchup if he's going to play those types of minutes. But also, we have to remember that Brooklyn is without Spencer Dinwiddie as well now. But they did bring in Dennis Schroeder. He played pretty well in his first game with the team. He's interesting at $4,800 tonight going against Boston, his former team. I don't really like Miles Bridges or Cam Thomas tonight at their prices. I think they're priced too high for the matchup. Cam Thomas is just a scorer, doesn't contribute much in other areas, but he has been contributing more so now that Dinwiddie is out. But with Drew Holiday for Boston, the guard positions are defended pretty well. Mikal Bridges, he's solid, but doesn't possess the upside, I think, for the price tonight. Ben Simmons has been pretty held, or not pretty held. He's been on a minutes restriction, which has held back his performance. Not like a ton, but at $5,900, it's kind of hard playing him for only 22 minutes a night. He does have upside to do well, but this matchup's a little bit tougher with Boston. For Brooklyn, there really isn't anyone other than, I would say, maybe Wilson. Um, yeah, I would say Wilson is one that I'm looking at potentially, but I think everyone is going to go towards him tonight. For Boston, just Springer is out for the guards. And then for the forwards, Porzingis is questionable. If he's ultimately not able to suit up, Horford should enter the starting lineup for him. And we know how that usually goes. He's at 5,200. If Porzingis is out, I think Horford's a great play tonight. His minutes hover between 24 to 26 minutes, but when he's starting, he's been up in the 30s, in mid 30s, low to mid 30s. His usage has been down this year though, so that's another thing. Coming off the bench, that's one thing that he's had to adjust to that role. But Horford at 5,200 isn't someone I hate tonight, especially if Porzingis is ruled out. If we're just looking at prices in general for Boston, Jaylen Brown at 7,700 seems a little too cheap. I know he hasn't been playing his best basketball recently, and his price has dropped significantly because he was at 8.5 and primarily in the mid 8s throughout January. So he is someone that I have interest in tonight. Derek White has struggled, but then again, he is on a price decrease, same with Drew Holiday. So, I mean, if this game stays competitive, I don't mind maybe going there as a little stack. Jason Tatum at 9.5. He's been balling. I like him tonight just because Brooklyn is a bit smaller and Tatum should be able to take advantage of the rebounding opportunities, and his assist numbers have been up too. So triple-double upside. He hasn't had one this year yet, I don't believe, but he's been close the last few games. 20, 10, and 9, 35, 10, and 8, 29 and 7, 34, 8, and 7, so he's getting closer. Seems like he has been facilitating more often in the offense. And I think on a 6-game slate tonight, he might go underowned. So he's one of my favorite tournament plays tonight. With that, let's move to the next game, OKC at Orlando. This match just kind of grosses me out. Both teams, Orlando's a slower team, but both of these teams are more of a defensive focused teams, and that doesn't necessarily play well for fantasy. For Orlando, if we look at them to start, they are back to fully healthy. Earlier in the year, they were struggling with injuries that was plaguing their record a bit, but they should be back to full strength here, getting back to the rhythm that they started off really well early in the season. And this is a big matchup at home against the Thunder, who are top 4 team in the West and are led by Shea. So for Orlando, Paolo at 82 has been consistent, getting 38 to 42 fantasy points around there, but I don't necessarily see him paying off his salary tonight. Franz has had some breakout games, 49, 58, 48 fantasy points. He's still priced at the same price he did well, but he's more of a scorer and picks up rebounds, assists as the game goes on, but it's the 3-point shooting that he's been exceeding at, and he's been getting to the free throw line. He got to the free throw line 10 times last time, 5, 6. The increased drives to the basket are helping his game, and he's one of their focal points. Wendell Carter Jr. at 5,300. I wish he played more minutes and his usage was up. But OKC struggles a bit against bigs in the paint with Chet obviously at the 5. So I don't hate Wendell Carter Jr., but it looks like Bitadze is back in the rotation. He played 14 minutes last game. You also have Mo Wagner. So really there isn't anyone on Orlando that is drawing to me. I mean, Cole Anthony played 30 minutes in his last game. I mean, 3,500 is really cheap for him, but he hasn't been playing because now Fultz is back. But his minutes are all over the place. I just wouldn't touch Orlando out of Banchero, Wagner, and maybe Carter Jr. Those are kind of the only people I'm looking at. Suggs. He plays solid minutes, but his usage is kind of all over the place. And this matchup is just kind of eh. So, OKC, Hayward, they traded for him. He still remains out. They're fully healthy, pretty much. None of these prices excite me. Giddey minutes have been tailing off. Because the defense just isn't there. Jalen Williams has been playing well. Yeah, there really isn't anything in this matchup that's like screaming at me. I mean, if you want to maybe play Lou Dort at 4-3 as just a salary filler because he's going to get the minutes, I don't mind it, but there isn't not anything that is standing out to me from this matchup. Let's move on to Miami and Milwaukee. Milwaukee is on a back-to-back. They played at home last night against Denver and just absolutely crushed them. For Miami, they are dealing with a bunch of injuries, and this game could be another blowout like last night against Denver, or as Milwaukee tends to do sometimes, lose to the opposing team who has a ton of injuries, or this is going to be a close game going down to the wire. Let's start on the Miami side with all the injuries. So Bam at 8,300 is someone I'm looking at tonight. He should be able to get a pretty easy double-double. But the assists are what I'm looking at tonight. I think that are going to move up because we're without ball handlers with Rozier out, Butler out, and Richardson. You got Tyler Hero, 6,900, going back to his home state. Milwaukee struggles to defend the guard position. He's someone I'm looking at 6,900. I think could break out this evening. Cody Martin at 5K. He's playing the minutes. Doesn't necessarily have the upside. I think I would potentially go to Jaquez, but his usage has been down too. He hasn't been shooting as much. But then again, we have the injuries tonight. So at 4,500, he could be a great play. But I think he might be owned more heavily than people realize. Kevin Love is someone I'm very curious about tonight. He's been playing mid-15 minutes, but with Butler out, I think what they will do is, with Butler and Rozier out, I think they might start Adebayo at center. You got Hero, Caleb Martin, potentially, or you probably do Haywood Highsmith, now that he's back healthy. So you got Adebayo, Hero, Caleb Martin, Haywood Highsmith, and I would assume maybe Caleb Martin would go in there. Or sorry, not Martin. Jaquez. Or they throw Love in there. I just think Love is going to get maybe 22 minutes tonight, and he's pretty much a fantasy point per minute guy. And I think they're going to need some scoring this evening. So I don't hate him because he was producing really well for the team when Butler was out and Hero was out. So I don't hate him tonight, Kevin Love. For Milwaukee, Middleton is still out. Giannis played great last night. However, I don't necessarily like him tonight. I mean, I do. He's been playing great. But he has struggled against the Heat in the past. Adebayo seems to really disrupt him as a defender. Lillard only played 23 minutes last night, was in a bit of foul trouble, but they didn't really need him. So 8,900 is one of the lower prices he's been this whole year. I mean, he was 87 last night, but because of the blowout, he hasn't been this low price since middle January. But prior to that, he's been primarily in the 9K and above range, or 9.3 and above. So I like Lillard tonight, especially with no Butler, no Richardson, and who's the other Miami player out? Oh, and Rozier. Yeah, so with no Rozier, Butler, and Richardson out, I think the guard defense might be a little weaker. So Lillard could have a bigger game tonight, I think. This Bobby Portis 6,800 is insane. Like, who is playing him at 6,800? I don't know who. Brook Lopez 6K doesn't really excite me. Malik Beasley 5,200. Nah. Like, none of this really excites me other than Lillard, and then maybe stacking the Miami side. Outside of that, that's really all the interest I have. Next game we have is Minnesota at Portland. Minnesota is coming off a back-to-back, is on a back-to-back against Portland tonight after their victory in LA against the Clippers. We'll start on the Portland side. They're dealing with some injuries. Simons and Reith are both probable, even though they have a questionable tag. Scoot Henderson is questionable. He has been out the past few games, so his status won't probably be decided until about 8. Excuse me. With that being said, this is a really tough matchup for Portland against Minnesota, who has one of the best or better defenses in the league. There really isn't anyone on Portland's side that screams out to me as a play this evening, even though Portland is on a back-to-back, or Minnesota is on a back-to-back. Portland should struggle to score here. For Minnesota, all these prices are priced appropriately, I would say. Jalen McDaniels played well last night, but he only played 25 minutes, and he only scored 16 fantasy points, so I don't like him. Naz Reid, he's playing about 22 to 24 minutes a game. 4,200, I don't hate him tonight, especially if he's scoring in double digits. Gobert played well last night, another double-double. I just think these prices are a bit too high for the matchup. Conley, I guess, is someone I might be interested in, but I mean, he just hasn't been playing enough minutes, and now that they got Monte Morris at 3K, if he played 18 minutes last night, so really, there's nothing in this game that stands out to me. I don't hate a Monte Morris at 3K play, though. Don't hate it. Sacramento Phoenix. Two heavyweights in the West matching up tonight. Sabonis has been playing really well. 60, 58, 59, 60 fantasy points. Phoenix struggles, even though the OPRK for DraftKings says that Phoenix is one of the better defensive teams against the center position. Nurkic isn't a great defender. Also, he hasn't been playing a ton of minutes. I mean, he has been playing minutes, but he hasn't been playing as many minutes, which is going to force him to play more tonight against Sabonis. For other Sacramento players, De'Aaron Fox at 8K seems criminal, considering he has been at least 9K pretty much the entire season. Malik Monk has been playing well. Keegan Murray, I want to play him so bad. I think he would do well in this matchup, but then again, he's probably going to defend KD and get into foul trouble, because last game against OKC played 34 minutes, 13 and 10, 0 personal fouls. Against Denver, 3 fouls. 4 fouls against Detroit, 3 fouls against Cleveland, 4 fouls against Chicago. Okay. When he's been playing teams that have better players at the forward position, he's been guarding them a lot. And so his price is very attractive tonight. I want to play him. I just don't know if I trust him to stay out of foul trouble. Trey Lyles has been picking up the minutes that Keegan hasn't been on the floor, but his usage is so off and on, you don't really know what you're going to get. So I do like Sabonis, Fox, and Monk tonight. Murray at 5,100 seems a bit too cheap. Herter, his minutes have been all over the place. I wouldn't trust him. So let's move to Phoenix. Phoenix's prices seem pretty jacked. Grayson Allen at 5,100. I don't hate tonight, especially going against Kevin Herter, who is not a great defender at the guard position, assuming that Kevin Herter guards him. But I wouldn't think that anyone else would. So 5,100 for Grayson Allen, I don't hate. Bradley Beal at 7,300. He's been playing well. Yeah, I think if you're not going to play KD or Booker, I think you play Beal. Booker, I think his price is just too high. Same with Durant. But Durant has got a double-double in 2 out of the last 3 games. And he's been pitching in passing and rebounding. So I don't hate KD tonight. I think Booker's usage is the one that's taking a hit. And he's been more of the facilitator, I would say, than Beal. So I like KD, Beal, Grayson Allen tonight from this game. With that, let's move to our last game, Detroit against the Lakers. We'll start with the Lakers. Dinwiddie and Christie are still out. Dinwiddie was traded to the Lakers, I believe, or bought out, and then he signed with them. Davis and James are questionable, but they've been questionable pretty much the entire season and have suited up most of the year, so I'm expecting them to play. They are playing Detroit, who is one of the worst teams in the league. Hachimura has been playing heavy minutes lately with the injuries to the team. However, he hasn't necessarily produced many fantasy points. So he's kind of out of the picture for me. D'Lo has been playing great. Just these prices they're so spot on. It's hard to, choose, what is the better price to play for a person. Lakers, nothing really stands out to me. Anthony Davis, I think he destroys tonight at 10-1. I like him to get a 20-15 game tonight against the front court of Detroit, who really struggles. Other than that, nothing really stands out to pay off their price or exceed their expectations. For Detroit, they traded away Bojan and Alec Burks. In return, they acquired Fontecchio, who has entered the roster, as well as some other players. Cade at 7,800, I think, is a great play tonight. Now he doesn't have to worry about Bojan there, and he just has to worry about him and Ivy and Duran. Ausar Thompson, he's gonna play minutes, but he is a rookie and can get into foul trouble a lot. Fontecchio, first game with Detroit, played 32 minutes. He's shooting the ball. He shot 19 times. That's so crazy. 19 times. I don't mind maybe a Lakers Detroit game stack at the end of the night. That'd be sick. Especially if none of these other games go very well. So Fontecchio, someone I am looking at. Jaden Ivey, 6,700. I mean, they're just running him out there. So, I mean, Duran played 35, 37, 37. I mean, he's cleaning up pretty good too. So, hey, this Detroit Laker game might be the best of the night, honestly. So, I'm curious about looking into that one more. Other than that, I think this slate kind of is individual plays. I don't see any team or game really kind of breaking the slate other than maybe the last game being Detroit against the Lakers. Other than that, there really isn't a game that excites me other than the Lakers and Detroit and Sacramento and Phoenix. I think those are the better games of the night. Get those low owned and potentially win a tournament. So with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Comment who your favorite play is tonight for the guard position. Your favorite guard. With that being said, I will have my cheat sheet, core plays, and other exclusive content on my Patreon that is in the video. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for more updates as well. That being said, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.